Failed expansions. Quebec Nordiques. The Quebec Nordiques were a professional ice hockey team based in Quebec City that played in the WHA from 1972 to 1979 and the NHL from 1979 to 1995. The Nordiques were the only major professional sports team based in Quebec City in the modern era and were one of 4 teams part of the WHA-NHL merger, along with the Hartford Whalers, Edmonton Oilers, and Winnipeg Jets. They played their home games at the Colisée de Quebec from 1972 to 1995 until the team was relocated to Denver in 1995 and was renamed the Colorado Avalanche. In this episode, I'll explain why the Quebec Nordiques are a failed NHL expansion despite having a strong and passionate fan base. The Quebec Nordiques were established in 1972 as part of the World Hockey Association. Throughout their tenure in the WHA, the Nordiques quickly became one of the league's most competitive and beloved teams. Behind star players like Marc Tardif and Real Cloutier, they won the AFCO World Trophy, the WHA Championship in the 1976-1977 season, solidifying their place in hockey history. Their success in the WHA paved the way for their transition to the NHL in 1979, marking the end of their WHA chapter and the beginning of a new era in professional hockey. The Quebec Nordiques were one of 4 teams involved in the merger between the WHA and the National Hockey League in 1979. This transition marked a significant moment in hockey history as it brought the Nordiques into the more established and prestigious NHL. Despite the challenges, the Nordiques carried over a strong fan base and a legacy of competitive play from the WHA. Their entry into the NHL was seen as a validation of the WHA's contribution to professional hockey. The Nordiques' WHA success and their seamless integration into the NHL underscored the team's resilience and enduring popularity, setting the stage for their future in the league. Forced to let all but 3 players go in the dispersal draft, the Nordiques sank to the bottom of the standings. Quebec finished the 1979-80 NHL season with the second worst record in the league. Despite the strong play of promising rookie winger Michel Goulet, a player who would become a consistent goal scorer and key offensive weapon for the Nordiques as one of the league's top left wingers. During the 1980s, the Quebec Nordiques established themselves as a competitive force in the NHL, building a solid core around superstar center Peter Stastny. The acquisition of Peter Stastny, a Czechoslovakian defector who had joined the team in 1980, would be a significant one. He quickly became one of the league's top scorers and a cornerstone of the franchise. Peter was later joined by his brothers Anton and Marian Stastny, who also defected from Czechoslovakia. The trio became a dynamic force for the Nordiques, bringing skill and excitement to the team. The Nordiques made several playoff appearances throughout the decade, with notable runs in 1981-82 and in 1984-85. It was in the 1981-82 season that they reached the Wales Conference Finals. The Nordiques developed a fierce rivalry with the Montreal Canadiens, known as the Battle of Quebec. The rivalry featured intense and often physical games, particularly during playoff matchups. The rivalry reached its peak with a notorious brawl during the 1984 playoffs, known as the Good Friday Massacre. The latter part of the decade saw the team struggle with inconsistency. While they continued to have talented players including Michel Goulet and Dale Hunter, the Nordiques found it challenging to maintain their early 1980s success. The team underwent several coaching changes and faced challenges in maintaining a stable management structure, impacting their on-ice performance. While the Nordiques did have success drafting players such as Joe Sakic and Matt Sundin, they also had significant misses and struggled to develop a consistently strong roster through the draft and player development. The Quebec Nordiques faced numerous struggles throughout their history, both on and off the ice, which ultimately contributed to the team's relocation to Colorado in 1995. Quebec City was one of the smaller markets in the NHL, which impacted the team's revenue potential compared to larger cities. As one of the smaller markets in the league, Quebec City struggled to compete financially with larger markets like Toronto, Montreal, and New York. The market size also impacted the ability to secure lucrative corporate sponsorships and partnerships. Financial instability among ownership groups led to difficulties in securing long-term financial health for the team. La Coliseau, the Nordiques' home arena, was considered outdated and lacked the amenities of more modern NHL venues. This impacted both revenue generation and player experience. Efforts to secure funding and approval for a new modern arena were unsuccessful, limiting the team's ability to generate additional revenue and attract top talent. By the mid-1990s, the financial pressure became untenable. Ownership could not sustain the losses, and without a new arena or significant financial intervention, the team faced relocation. In 1995, the team was sold to an ownership group that moved the franchise to Denver, Colorado, where they became the Colorado Avalanche. The Quebec Nordiques struggles were multifaceted, involving financial difficulties and management challenges. And despite the passionate fan support and moments of success, these challenges ultimately led to the team's relocation. The Nordiques continue to be a source of pride for Quebec City and the province of Quebec, fostering a strong and loyal fan base. The team is still actively involved in the community, further cementing their place in the hearts of the fans. Although there was a decade of both highs and lows for the Quebec Nordiques, they established themselves as a formidable team in the league, creating lasting rivalries and contributing to the cultural fabric of Quebec. Despite the challenges they faced towards the end of the decade, the Nordiques left an indelible mark on the NHL and their fans. The Quebec Nordiques have left a lasting legacy on the NHL and a lasting cultural impact in Quebec, and despite their struggles that led to their relocation, they cannot be labeled a failed expansion.